Derek, have you ever done a show solo? No, I haven't, Derek. Well, you're about to do one. What's going on, everybody? Just your opinion, man. Derek Papa and only Derek Papa. Because I love my man Alon, but he ran into some issues today. So, full story, we were supposed to do a podcast last night. My man is going to a wedding today in Novato. Didn't realize that he was going to have the dress rehearsal last night. So I had to do that. Totally understand. Said, let's do the podcast tomorrow morning, afternoonish. And wake up this morning, text my man Alon the Delio, what we're doing on the show. He hits me back saying I have no Wi-Fi in the hotel I'm staying at. So it's just me. And all good. Alon's got bigger things to do today. He's getting ready for a wedding. So it's just me today. Just old Derry P by his lonesome, and it'll be a quick one today because you don't want to hear just me the whole time. But let's start with the Thursday night game. Oof. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't watch most of that game because that's the definition of bad Thursday night football. I know, I try to defend Thursday night football as much as possible, but I couldn't defend that. That was awful. Bo Nix even looking terrible. Everybody saw that video of him throwing the ball between two wide receivers that were wide open. Spencer Rattler, it's just tough for Dennis Allen and the Saints right now. So not a great-looking game. Rumors about Alvin Kamara being traded or wants a trade. I can't see them trading him. He just makes way too much money, and he's going to make way too much money next season. If anything, he's going to be released. So, we'll see about that. But yeah, that Broncos 33-10 win over the Saints. Your boy got that right. So I should text Alon to see if he's going to give me his picks for this week. Let me see if he's willing to do that real quick. Sorry to everybody in the chat, too. I apologize. I know AJ Cruz and Ernie have waited like a good 12 hours for the show to go down. Sorry, guys. Let me see if Alon can text me his picks. Actually, what I enjoyed more on Thursday was the MLB playoffs. That crazy game against the Guardians and Yankees, in which the Guardians came back to win that game, thanks to Big Christmas. Don't know his real name, but I like the nickname Big Christmas. And then last night, a crazy game between the Yankees and Guardians, where the Guardians came back. I believe they were down 6-2, came back to tie that game up 6-6. And in the end, the Yankees pull away, so they're up 3-1. And the Mets get a big old victory yesterday. So they stay alive. It's 3-2. I got to warn all the Giants fans out there. It's looking likely that we could get a Dodgers World Series. Just put it out there. You guys, you can't have everything. Yeah, I honestly, I'll talk about it more when Steven comes back. I can't stand the Giant fans that are just shitting on the Dodger parade. And when their team's not even in the playoffs. Like I got it to like 3 years ago when the Giants got knocked out by the Dodgers. You want to boo them to, not go on. But when your team was terrible this year and you didn't even make the playoffs, you have no room to stand. So to root for the Dodgers to lose, I get it. It's fandom and shit, but I always roll my eyes. I was texting Alon. Send me your picks. Let's see how quickly he gets this. All right. So we'll preview some games for week 7. And we'll not preview. We'll preview one game in particular, the Chiefs and 49ers game. That's the big one this weekend. There's a lot of big ones. I'll give you all my picks for this weekend, but we'll go kind of a little in depth on the Chiefs and 49ers. Before we do that, I want to talk about the fallout of Davante Adams being traded to the Jets. So me and Alon were talking about it, and the Raiders are going in a different direction. I kind of didn't like Mark Davis's nonchalant nature of, we traded Davante for Tom Brady. And then, the video of Tom Brady coming through the Raider facility with the autumn wind. It's just weird to me. The whole thing is weird. So I don't know what to make of it, to be completely honest. If I had to guess, and I said this last time, but if I had to guess, I'm going to assume that Tom Brady is not going to fulfill the contract with Fox to be their broadcaster. Shocker. But maybe even after this year, I think that he's going to figure out, like, once he does an off season with the Raiders, that he's really into more building a team than, going to a place each week and he doesn't have wins or losses. That's the biggest thing when happens with these guys when they retire is there's no competition. You can, you can go to a game and you can look at the quarterbacks, get into it, kind of like what Peyton Manning and Eli do. But I think what kills the really competitive guys, and Peyton Manning's a competitive dude, but like Tom Brady, I think he wants to win and lose every week. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he just gives up the broadcasting thing. And maybe he will help the Raiders turn things around. But I think it's just kind of, I don't know. The whole thing's kind of weird to me. Like I said, the Tuck rule, then he comes over. I wonder when he's going to be like formally introduced as a Raiders owner as well. And, it's no secret. Cam Ward is putting on a show right now. I like him a lot better than Shedeur Sanders, but it sounds like the Raiders are infatuated with Shedeur. So Mark Davis has been seen, at, I guess, UFC events with him. Tom Brady, I guess, knows him. So the whole thing, I don't know. The whole thing's weird to me. I saw a report out there that Belichick is in, I guess, the running to be Raiders coach. Tom Brady's going to try to convince him to be the Raiders coach. I would highly doubt that. I think that Belichick is going to either go to the Giants, the Eagles, or the Cowboys. He's going to stay in the East. If I had to guess, I would say if the Eagles job becomes available, I'd say he'd go there. If anything, we'll see what happens with Antonio Pierce. I don't want to just totally say that he's going to get fired at the end of the season, but maybe. If anything, I would say that Mike Vrabel would be the guy to look for with the Raiders. Tom and Belichick didn't get along towards the end in New England, so I don't know why, that would be all patched up for them to work together with Las Vegas. Tom and Mike had a very good relationship, threw touchdown passes to him as a tight end, even though he played defense. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Brady tells Mark Davis, Mike Vrabel should be your guy. But as far as everything else, I watched Davante Adams' press conference, even watched his interview with Kay Adams. And the obvious thing is he's wanted to be a Jet for quite some time. I know he released a statement over the summertime saying he's dedicated to the Raiders. And I know that he tried his best during the Netflix show and everything. But it sounds like this was on his mind for the longest time. And I'm not surprised by that. I think once the Raiders weren't really committing to him to replace Derek Carr with a quarterback that's going to win you some games. Like, let's be honest, Jimmy Garoppolo was terrible with the Raiders. Gardner Minshew, only good moments have been the second half against the Ravens. The defense really won that game against the Browns. And, he's had some times with Aiden O'Connell, but I don't think Aiden O'Connell is a starting quarterback in this league. So I think it's time for the Raiders to really go in to getting a QB, and I think that they're looking to not tank this season. I mean, more so than last year. I thought that maybe that was the goal when they made the switch from Josh McDaniels to Antonio Pierce, that maybe Mark Davis was thinking, okay, we can lose some games and potentially be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, or even Jaden Daniels, given Antonio Pierce's closeness to Jaden Daniels. Now I think they're all in. I think that they wouldn't mind losing games the rest of the year. So they could be in a good spot to draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or any of these other guys that they may be interested in. But watching Davante Adams, he said this is good for the Raiders and this is good for the Jets. And he was asked to elaborate on that. And he was just like, well, I want to choose my words carefully here. But when you're not using somebody, I forget exactly what he said verbatim, but it was along the lines of, if you're not going to use me the way I need to be used, then I need to go to a place where I can win and get my catches. And he kept saying, like, it doesn't have to be every week where I get 10 catches for 150 yards. It just needs to be the way I'm used to playing. And I think that Davante got caught up in a rebuild, and he didn't want to be a part of one. All the intentions of him going to Las Vegas was to win with Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels. So when they started to change the philosophy, he got less interested in what they wanted to do. So, yeah, just listening to him talk, he sounds like he's happy to go to the Jets. And yeah, I think that, he was respectful of the Raiders and said he had a good talk with Tom Telesco and gave props to the wide receiver room that he was leaving with Jacoby Myers and DJ Turner and Trey Tucker. So he was respectful. And I actually like the way that the Raider players handled everything in the locker room, too. They, interviewed, I think, Jacoby Myers and DJ Turner and Jackson Powers Johnson. And all of them were like, if this is what's the best needed for Devontae, then we respect that. And I respect that too. I think it's tough when you know that you're not going to be a championship level team. I think that's pretty clear for everybody at this point for the Raiders. And Devontae has bigger aspirations. So I mean, yeah, it's tough. You never want to see a player of his caliber leave, but the Raiders are here. And who's to say the Jets are here too? And I'm doing a lower level thing if you're listening on the podcast. But they have higher aspirations. That like I said, the Raiders are in a rebuild mode. The Jets want to win right now, so we'll see what happens. But I want to play this clip from Max Crosby because I guess everybody on the team right now is they're not superstars. They're good young players. Brock Bowers. But I think that for the most part, everybody on that team is kind of accepting what it is right now. And the one guy that may have an issue with all that is Max Crosby. And we talked about how, the Lions may be interested in getting a pass rusher to replace Aiden Hutchinson. There's rumors about them making calls on Zadarius Smith. That one I think is feasible, more so than Max Crosby. I think Zadarius Smith has 2 more years on his contract, and he's older, and I don't think he'll cost you maybe like a third or fourth possibly at this point. So that's, a trade they could do with the Browns, who are 1-5 currently, already traded away Amari Cooper. I don't know about Hassan Reddick. I don't think any team's going to trade for Hassan Reddick at this point. I think it's just in the best interest of the Jets to have him, play for them. And he probably should go play for the Jets at this point. But Max Crosby, this was an interesting thing. So everybody was respectful of Davante Adams and his wishes. And then they interviewed Max Crosby in his locker room, or the Raiders' locker room, but by his locker. And this is what he had to say about his future with the Raiders.
I'm not here to rebuild. I'm here to win. So, I don't know whatever that means, but yeah, I'm here to win now. And wherever I'm going to be, I'm going to be here to win. So that's all that matters to me.
I'm here not to rebuild, wherever that may be. So not a ringing endorsement to be a Las Vegas Raider. I think he's frustrated. And, I think he wants to stay with the Raiders, but he's also the guy that told Mark Davis, if you don't hire Antonio Pierce, then I'm demanding a trade. I think he would be okay leaving, honestly, if like the Raiders came to him and said, hey, we have an offer on the table for the Lions for 2 first-round picks. Do you want to go there? And I'm sure he would say yes. It just sucks. The Raiders had so much talent, from Hunter Renfrow, who's not even in the league right now, to Darren Waller, who retired, Josh Jacobs, Davante Adams, and it's all gone. So, yeah, I think it's time to rebuild. As Ernie once says in the chat here, no more cigars. I don't think it's guaranteed that Max Crosby's getting traded at the deadline. I just think he's kind of over the bullshit. I think he's over, all right, we need to rebuild. We need to go get this quarterback. We need to, have a couple more losing seasons. He's been there for too long now to be patient. I think that Max Crosby wants to win. He wants to win now, and he sees a place in Detroit that is his hometown. He went to Central Michigan. It'd be a good fit. But, it's easier said than done, with trading away a player like, him. I know that I kind of pissed off Raider fans when I said in the last podcast that I would make that deal for 2 first-round picks. I get it. I know I'm being hypocritical because I was mad about Khalil Mack. You have to understand, too, that I was more of a fan when Khalil Mack was traded. Like, that devastated me. Max Crosby, I have no attachment to Max Crosby. I think he's a great player, but, you know, I was invested in Khalil Mack as Defensive Player of the Year in 2016. That was my team. The 2019 Raiders with Max Crosby, I was kind of over it at that point. And I know that a lot of fans like him. He's a great player. It would not be easy just to trade him away, but I think you have to put yourself in a good position in order to have the luxury of getting the first overall pick. And a way to accommodate that is by getting 2 first-round picks. So if you can manage that with the Detroit Lions, I would pull the trigger on that. It's not guaranteed you're going to get first overall, and who's to say that whoever gets that pick isn't going to take the guy that you want? I just think the Raiders can leave no excuses of not getting the quarterback that they want. They've had their trouble with that the last 2 seasons in the draft. Not getting C.J. Stroud, the guy that I think Dave Ziegler wanted to trade up for, and who's to say that would have been that easy? Because that's difficult. But Josh McDaniels was not interested, and then just waiting for Michael Penix to fall, and that blew up in their face. So yeah, I don't think that they could take any chances. I think that they need to go for it this year, and if it's Shador, then go for Shador. If it's Cam Ward, go for Cam Ward. You're going to be battling with the likes of the Giants and Panthers and Titans of quarterbacks that are quarterback needy teams. So, why not just put yourself in the position to have the first overall pick? So, as we stand right now, I think the Patriots, they have 1 win. The Panthers have 1 win. So we'll see who ends up with the first overall pick. It may be the Raiders, and they don't have to worry about this. But I don't know. I think they need to put themselves in a spot to totally, start rebuilding the team. Because after watching a little bit of the Thursday night game, I would say confidently now the Raiders are the worst team in the AFC West. I think that the Broncos play good defense. Bo Nix is not very good right now, but he could get better. And yeah, I think the Chargers are better. I think the Chiefs are better, obviously. So yeah, the Raiders are way far behind the other teams in the AFC West right now, in my opinion. So they may have to be aggressive and do something risky like that. And I wouldn't blame them on doing that. So yeah, you also have to ask, what Max Crosby wants. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, as far as the big game this weekend, the Chiefs and 49ers. We've been talking about it nonstop on Bay Area radio. And everyone keeps talking about how, the last 2 Super Bowls, Kyle Shanahan can't get over the hump. He can't beat Andy Reid. Emmanuel Acho went on FS1 and was like, if Kyle Shanahan, I can't do a good Emmanuel Acho. I try to do the lisp and everything, but I can't do a good Emmanuel Acho impression. Basically, he was saying if Kyle Shanahan and the Niners can't beat the Chiefs this time, then they're never going to get over the hump. And yeah, that's just like hot takey TV bullshit to me. So I don't put a lot of stock into that. I do wonder though, and if the guys in the chat want to chime in here, are the Chiefs on a different level now as far as hatred when it comes to 49er fans? When you are a Niner fan, you grow up hating the Cowboys. That's just kind of inherited. You hate the Packers. You hate the teams in the NFC West. You thought maybe the rivalry with the Rams was going to build up since they won the Super Bowl, but that kind of died down. So now after losing 2 Super Bowls to the Chiefs, where do they rank as far as most hated teams for Niner fans? If Ernie 1, Ernie 2, or AJ Cruz want to chime in here, let me know. Please do, because I'm dying here. But yes, AJ Cruz. AJ Cruz could do a good lisp impression. Yes. But yeah, no, and it's interesting too to listen to the fans call in this week and be like, oh, if there wasn't for these holding calls and no, just excuses. In the end, guys, the Chiefs beat the Niners 2 times in a row. Actually, 4 times in a row. Going back from when Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL to the Super Bowl the first time. And then a couple years ago when McCaffrey made his debut, losing, I think it was 44-23. And then just last year in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, the Chiefs have the Niners number. And it's been a mix of offensive firepower and defense. All right. So Ernie gave me his rankings. He says it's Chiefs, Hawks, Rams, Cowboys won. Yeah, I mean it's hard to go against the Cowboys as far as hatred. That's, decades and decades. Um, someone's blowing their fucking horn loud here in Oakland. Kind of annoying. So yeah, I think that that's distracting. Good lord. I don't know if that's coming through on the microphone, but that's loud as shit. Um, so yeah, I think that Niner fans make a lot of excuses of why they lost those two Super Bowls. The bottom line is, I think the Niners had the better team both times, but Mahomes is just that fucking good, and they have to put him on his ass. They have to intercept him. They have to make bigger plays off those turnovers, take advantage of the mistakes that Mahomes makes. And don't keep them alive. They've had two, 10-point leads against them in Super Bowls. So yeah, and he's also that fucking good against every team. So I don't think it's anything to be like, oh man, we can't beat this team. A lot of teams can't beat the Chiefs. It's just the way it is. Ernie too chimes in as well. Cowboys, Rams, Seahawks, and Chiefs for me in that order. Okay. All right. I'm with that. Rams over Seahawks. I guess the Seahawks rivalry kind of has died down. AJ Cruz. Let me start from the beginning here. For me, KC is annoying because everyone is on their jocks, adding Tay-Tay's fans who are not invested in the game except for Travis Kelce, along with blind ref who miss holding calls on KC sucks. However, I do respect Mahomes. He is just crazy talented, but he doesn't bug me like Aikman, Farrell, and Wilson did. Who's Farrell? What the hell are you talking about there, AJ Cruz? Anyway, as far as this game, I think that it's big that Ricky Pearsall is playing in this game. And the reason for that is in the Super Bowl, this has been talked about, but the Chiefs played the Niners really good in man coverage. And they held, I believe, Debo Samuel to 3 catches for, I think, like 39 yards. And Ayuk to 3 catches and 30 yards as well, I believe. So they did their job against those guys. Jawan Jennings had the bigger day, but he, I think, only had like 4 catches for 58 yards. So they did a good job, their corners on the Niners wide receivers. And Jawan's not going to play in this game. Also a change this time around is L'Jarius Sneed will not be there. He's, on the Titans now. So still got some good corners, though. Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson for the Chiefs. But I think a big reason why the Niners drafted Ricky Pearsall was because Kyle wanted a guy that could get open easily. He wanted a guy like Cooper Kupp, just a guy that can get open in the slot and catch 125 balls. That's going to be his goal going forward, is to be that instrumental in their offense. And despite restructuring of contracts, I would not be the least bit surprised if they go forward with Ayuk, Juwan, and Ricky Pearsall, and Debo still the man out. Now, he restructured his contract, I know, but Debo, he's been the better wide receiver between Ayuk. And who's to say maybe they still trade Ayuk? I don't know. I would think that's kind of ridiculous after signing to a contract. But Ricky Pearsall is going to be featured in this offense in the future. As far as Sunday, I don't know how the Chiefs game plan for him. You haven't seen him at all in preseason. All you can go off of is his college tape, and that's impressive. But I don't know how you game plan for him. So it's a lot to ask. Like Kyle came on with Tolbert and Copes, and he kind of like I told Copes to ask the question of how big of a deal is it that the Chiefs have kind of beaten the Niners receivers in man coverage. He was like, it's not anything to look over. Yeah, it's been the case. And he acknowledged a big reason why we drafted Ricky Pearsall is to get open to man coverage. But it's a lot to ask of a rookie wide receiver in his debut to have a big impact against the Super Bowl chance, especially when the man is coming off of a gunshot wound. But I acknowledge all that. I still would put him as my X factor for this game. I just think that if he take him getting shot out of the equation, if he would have been healthy at this point and had been playing, I still would have made him my X factor. I just think that they made this move to get him with the Chiefs in mind. That's how big of a role he may have tomorrow, but it's a lot to ask. On the other side, another rookie wide receiver, I think, is the X factor in this game for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have beat the Niners with not the best wide receivers the last 2 seasons. When they played him in 2022 and beat him 44-23, it was Juju Smith-Schuster going all over them. And always Travis Kelce. In the Super Bowl, it was Travis Kelce and a mix of Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Rashee Rice. They're not going to have Rashee Rice, but I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier Worthy, a Texas wide receiver that Kyle Shanahan knows very well, goes over the top on them. Charvarius Ward coming back from a week off against the Seahawks, 10 days to prepare, so he should be good to go. Sounds like he is, actually. Sounds like he's off the injury report. But he had trouble covering speedy wide receivers. Tyler Lockett. Well, actually, he didn't play last week, so not Tyler Lockett. But he had a hard time covering Tutu Atwell a couple weeks ago. So if it's Xavier Worthy on Charvarius Ward, he might expose him. And if it's the other guys, Diamador Lenore or Renardo Green, I still think Xavier Worthy could get over the top on them too. So that's where in this matchup of 2 high-profile teams with a lot of veterans, I think the X factors are going to be these rookie wide receivers. And it's a big deal that Jordan Mason is healthy for this game. No Jawan Jennings. He had a big day in the Super Bowl with the thrown touchdown pass and the touchdown catch, but not going to be available in this game. Debo's good to go despite the wrist. A big deal that might be in this game is kicking for the Niners. 3 weeks in a row, you got kicker problems. Jake Moody gets hurt against the Cardinals. Then last week, Matthew Wright at the end of the game hurts his shoulder. The hell you doing? And this week they're going with Anders Carlson, brother to Daniel Carlson. And if it comes down to a game-winning field goal, oof. So, yeah. And, everyone brings it up. Andy Reid off a bye. I believe he is 21-4 in his career with the Eagles and Chiefs. He is 21-4 off a bye. That's pretty incredible. Niners had 10 days to prepare, but it's not a full week. Chiefs have never been 6-0 with Patrick Mahomes. The Niners need this game way more than the Chiefs do, but Chiefs, they're good. They're really good. So, with that in mind, let's pick this game, along with others. And a little something that we call, once I get the music going here, wins or wings. All right. So I'll try to post Alon's picks later on. I don't know if he texted me back here. But, nah, nothing from Alon. Okay, so I'll just do these picks by myself. What a riveting podcast this is. Okay, I'm up 3-1 on Alon from the Thursday night game, and I will pick the Chiefs and Niners game later on, but let's start with the London game. Jacksonville back-to-back weeks in London. They are 6-point favorites over the New England Patriots, and the over-under is 42.5. Jaguars got to win this game. I mean, it's embarrassing how bad they've looked so far, and you put a little bit on Trevor Lawrence, put a little bit on Doug Peterson. They should be better than what they are right now. So they got to win this game against a rookie quarterback. Drake May could have some explosive plays in this game, but Trevor Lawrence has got to show that he's worth the $55 million a year. So with that in mind, I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat the New England Patriots. Going to lay the points, and I'll go over on that 42.5. Then we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Buffalo Bills. Amari Cooper making his debut. Buffalo Bills are 9-point favorites, and the over-under is 40.5. Yeah, it's a short week, but I like the Bills to win this game convincingly. I don't know what to make of the Titans. Will Levis makes some dumb decisions every week. Don't know if he's going to be the guy for them going forward. We'll see about that one. But yeah, give me the Bills. I'll lay the points, and I'll go over on that 40.5. Then we have, as I turn the page, the Cincinnati Bengals take it on the Cleveland Browns. Would you believe that Joe Burrow has never beaten the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland? Well, despite that, the Bengals are 5.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 41.5. The Bengals are a better football team. But I can't believe that the Browns are this bad. And it's mainly like 90% because of Deshaun Watson. And it's brutal to see Kevin Stefanski each week just have to say like, oh, well, I think Deshaun gives us the best chance to win. And he probably does over Jameis, but Jameis was a capable starter back in the day. He threw picks like crazy, but I don't know what to make of that situation. Despite all of that and them trading Amari Cooper away, I think this maybe opens things up for Jerry Jeudy, and Nick Chubb makes his return. Joe Burrow can't win a game in Cleveland. Against my better judgment, I'm taking the Browns, and I'll go with the under on that 41.5. Then we got the Seattle Seahawks going to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 3-point favorites, over under 51.5. This one's easy. Seahawks may be able to keep this game close, but I got the Falcons winning this one. Lay the points, take the under on the 51.5. And then we got the Miami Dolphins going to the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 43.5. By the way, Diana Rossini with the report. Sounds like Tua Tagovailoa will return next week. So, he consulted with doctors and decided to make his return. I think we all should respect that. What I don't respect, though, is Anthony Richardson just getting starting minutes now. I think Anthony Richardson's a very good quarterback, and actually, I should take that back. He's a very talented quarterback, and there's times where he flashes, and there are times where he's like, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell is he doing? I think Joe Flacco could win a lot more games with the Colts, kind of like Gardner Minshew a year ago. It's just the scheme, the way that Shane Steichen draws it up, and Joe Flacco is a really good backup quarterback. So I would redshirt Anthony Richardson for a little while and see what you got in Joe Flacco. Try to win some games, maybe go to the playoffs, and then when the time's right and you know that Anthony Richardson is 100%, like he's not making dumb decisions, then I would go with him. But they're going with Anthony Richardson, and despite all of my complaining about that, I'll still go with the Colts. Lay the points and take the under on 43.5. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles going to New York to take on the Giants. Saw Saquon Barkley say that he doesn't think he's going to get booed by the Giants fans. Buddy, you're going to get booed. You're going to get booed big time. Don't be naive. They're going to scream at you. This is going to be brutal. And I think they win the game. I think that Saquon Barkley has a huge game at his old stomping grounds. Philly's 3-point favorites, over under 42.5. Give me the Eagles, lay the points, and I'll go over on that 42.5. Then we got the Detroit Lions going to Minnesota, the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are 1.5-point favorites, over under 50.5. Vikings coming off that bye week. Yeah, I think the bye week's going to be the difference there. And without Aiden Hutchinson in their first game without him, I think the Lions struggle defensively. I think they still put up some points, but I think the Vikings coming off the bye week gives them a little advantage here. I don't think Aaron Jones is playing in this game. I think he might go on IR. So it's Tyson Chandler and Cam Akers running for the Vikings. I think the Vikings get this win. So give me the Vikings. Lay the points. It's 1.5, so it's kind of a pick 'em. But go over on that 50.5. I think it's going to be a shootout. Then we got the Houston Texans going to the Green Bay Packers. Very good quarterback matchup here between C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. Packers are 2.5-point favorites, over under 47.5. Give me the Packers to win this game. You know I love me some Love. Give me the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Lay the points, but I'll go under on that 47.5. Then we got the Carolina Panthers going to the Washington Commanders. I wonder when they're going to Bryce Young again, because Andy Dalton's lost a fair amount of games so far. So I think eventually the Panthers will go back to Bryce Young. Despite that, Commanders are 8-point favorites, over under 51.5. Taking Washington to win. However, I will take the Panthers to cover that 8. Yeah, I'll take the Commanders. I'll take the Panthers to cover that 8, and let's go under on that 51.5. I think that you're going to start to see Jaden Daniels still have success, but he might go through some rookie
ebbs and flows here every now and then when he might struggle a little bit. So yeah, I think that Commanders win this game, a good commie win, but the Panthers cover. Then we got the Raiders going to the Rams. It's going to be a home game for the Raiders every time they go to LA. But it sounds like Matthew Stafford's getting Cooper Kupp back. And yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Raiders these days. So give me the Rams. They're favored by 7, over under 43.5. Yeah, lay the points with the Rams, but take that under on the 43.5. Don't see the Raiders scoring a lot of points. Then we got the big game of the weekend. Kansas City versus the San Francisco 49ers. Niners are 2-point favorites, surprisingly. And the over-under is 46.5. I don't know what goes into the rationale to make the Niners the favorites. Maybe because they're home, looking for revenge, a little more desperate. I don't know. So with all that being said, just too many things with the Niners right now. It's a lot to ask Ricky Pearsall to be the X factor. And if this game comes down to a kick, I don't like it. And I love Andy Reid off a bye. So with all that said, I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game. Going to lay the points with the Chiefs, and I'm going to go under on that 46.5. Then we got the Sunday night game. The Jets taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Devontae Adams making his debut with the Jets. Jets are 2-point favorites. Why? Well, a lot of hype around them. Also, Russell Wilson's getting the start. So yesterday, Mike Tomlin said that he's not going to reveal who the starting quarterback is. And I respect that because I never understand why teams have to reveal that. Maybe you want your team to know, but then again, your team's going to know anyway in, private meetings or whatnot. So whatever the rationale there is to tell the world that you're going to start a certain quarterback. And Mike Tomlin did his best to, conceal that information. And then George Pickens in an interview just lets the cat out of the bag and says, I want to get some extra work with Russell Wilson this week. And the media was like, well, why would you do that? And he goes, oh, well, he's starting this week. It's like, Jesus, this guy just doesn't give a fuck. Like a couple weeks ago, he doesn't care about what he did against the Cowboys, ripping the guy's helmet at the very end or just pulling his face mask. And he's like, yeah, it happened, whatever. And now he's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit that Mike Tomlin's trying to keep things a secret. Russell Wilson's starting. And I guess there's something out there that if Justin Fields plays 51% of the Steelers snaps, the draft pick that the Steelers have to give up to the Bears goes from a 6th to a 4th. So that may have something to play here. But as I pause the music real quick, I want to play this clip of Justin Fields because I was really impressed by this. Not when you think of like classic moments of quarterbacks losing their jobs, you think of like Drew Bledsoe all pissed off, when he was told that he's not going to be the starter anymore for the New England Patriots, and he's like, I look forward to getting my job back. As my computer is frozen here, this is fantastic. All right, hang on one second, everybody. If I can get this clip going. All right, here we go. I was very impressed with what Justin Fields had to say here when asked about potentially not being the starting quarterback for the Steelers this weekend. If I can play this.
I don't think I played, good enough. I'm being real with you. If I'm being real with myself, I think if I did play well enough, I don't think there would be any sort of playing. We got a few wins. Of course, I'm glad about that, but there's areas that I could be better at, and I'm just gonna continue to work on those and to get better.
So kind of loud in the locker room there, but I commend Justin Fields for basically saying, I guess if I'm being completely honest, I haven't played well enough to be the starting quarterback of the Steelers. So I commend him for being that honest. Some guys would just be like, yeah, I'm 4-2. I deserve this. Justin Fields, give him credit, man. He's being honest and just being like, I don't think I played good enough. And there's moments where he has. He put up 32 points against the Raiders last week, but there's some weeks where they could have put more points up against the Cowboys. They won games, but it's been primarily because of their defense. The thing that's kind of uneasy with me is you don't know what you're getting in Russell Wilson. It's not like Russell Wilson is coming off a MVP caliber season with the Denver Broncos. There's a lot of questions with Russell Wilson. So either the Steelers don't want to give up that draft compensation, or they're really, really confident in Russell Wilson, or they just promised him a lot and they have to fulfill that. So I don't know how it's going to look with Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback. It could be better. I probably anticipate it being better, but I don't know if it's going to be better right away. And the Jets may have their issues against that defense with the Steelers. Best defense in football right now. So the Jets are 2-point favorites, over under 38.5. I think Russell Wilson comes out and he's a little rusty. So I'm gonna go with the Jets. I'm gonna lay the points and I'll go under on that 38.5. Then we got 2 Monday night games. Baltimore goes to Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are home dogs. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 49.5. Give me the Ravens. I'll lay the points, but I'll go under on that 49.5. And then we got the second Monday night game, and this is going to be on ESPN Plus. So if anybody has a login, let me know. The Chargers going to the Arizona Cardinals. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 43.5. Give me the Chargers to win this game, lay the points, and I'll go over on that 43.5. Marvin Harrison back, clear concussion protocol. He puts up some points along with Kyler Murray in this game, but I think the Chargers, in the end, get the victory. All right, before we get out of here, I want to talk about this with Alon a little bit more because he studies college football a little bit better than me. But 2 great games today. Tennessee playing Alabama. I know Alon's probably tearing his bald hair out right now of not being able to watch this game while he's going to a wedding. It's going to be interesting. Tennessee can put some points up, and so can Alabama. I don't know about either team's defenses. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, and I'd probably give the edge to Alabama, but I would not be the least bit surprised if Tennessee comes away with the victory. They won 2 years ago when they won that game like 52-49. Crazy game. And then I can't wait. In about 40 minutes here, it's going to be Texas and Georgia in Austin. And I wish I was in Austin today. That seems so fun. College Game Day was out there today. I saw Tony Heathcliff, the comedian, dropping some interesting things at College Game Day. Hey, ESPN, you get what you pay for, or you get what you ask for. You can't be mad about Tony Heathcliff being that type of comedian and saying the type of things that he was saying. So, watching Texas this year, I would not be the least bit surprised if Texas loses today, because Texas has not played anybody big yet. They beat Michigan and they beat Oklahoma last week, but Michigan's not the same team, and Oklahoma doesn't have much of a quarterback. So if Texas can run the football, I think they can win this game. If they can't, and Quinn Ewers has to throw 40 times, Quinn Ewers is probably going to throw some interceptions today. I do wonder at some point if the offense doesn't get going, will they go to Arch Manning? Don't know. I say Texas pulls this one off, but I'm not as confident. I think that Georgia could win this game today. Like if Georgia comes rolling back like they did against Alabama a couple weeks ago, I don't know if Texas can answer. So we'll see about that one. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for today. Hope I did okay as a solo host today. Try my best. Thanks to Alon for leaving me in the lurch here. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. Next week, next Tuesday, Steven, I think, will be back later in the week. Can't say 100%. Not sure when he's coming back from Italy. But maybe we give him some time to rest and acclimate back to Bay Area time and whatnot. Acclimate to not living in a beautiful place like Italy anymore and realizing this is his life. Alon will be back with me on Tuesday. We'll go over everything from week 7 in the NFL, and we'll review Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas, Georgia. Also, we'll have a live stream on Tuesday night, but also Wednesday morning, you will get 2 episodes on the podcast. Obviously, Tuesday night show, and you're going to get a little bonus show with me and Greg Silver. That's right. KMBR's Greg Silver who is John Dickinson's right-hand man for all Warrior post-game shows. He's going to join me in a little Warriors preview show / NBA preview. We're going to go over NBA, everything Warriors, what he thought about them in the preseason. They won by 58 last night in a preseason game. Good Lord. Guess Bronny's not that good. Nah. Yeah, it's preseason. Who gives a shit? But we'll go over the Warriors roster, our expectations, how we think they're going to fare in the West. We'll give our Western Conference picks, our Eastern Conference picks, who goes to the finals and whatnot. And yeah, we'll do that on Tuesday. We'll record that, and that'll be out Wednesday morning along with the full show we do with Alon to go over everything in the NFL. A little question from AJ Cruz before we get out of here. Derek, which school did you go to again? Texas Tech or A&M or just Texas? Come on, AJ. Come on, Abraham. You know better than that. It's Texas. Just plain old Texas. Didn't have time for Texas Tech. Didn't want to be in Lubbock. Ugh. Or A&M, College Station. There's nothing going on in those towns. It's all about YouTube, baby. We'll see what happens today. All right. Thanks to all of you that patiently waited for the show to happen today. To Ernie 1, Ernie 2, and AJ Cruz, and fake Derek Pop in the chat here for a little bit of time. Screw you, Tacky. I'll see you guys, and I've never gotten a chance to say this. Hey, that's just our opinion, man.